Hi guys, Kev here, and I have a fun battle for you tonight. This is the Battle of the Backlocks. We have your contenders, the Spyderco Native 5. This is the fluted carbon fiber and S90V version. And in the other corner, we have the Bestech Knives Tonic, designed by Colin, MaisonPierre of CM Knife Designs. Also, part of Devo Knives, a brand taking over the industry. I'm just kidding. All right. So we have the Tonic and we have the Native 5. I think this is going to be fun. The Tonic is obviously a newcomer on the block. Colin worked on this design with Bestech for a few years. It came out. It's got some really interesting features to it. And it's a really good knife. And then you have the kind of classic here, the Native 5. I know for a lot of people, this video is just blasphemy. You're probably just like, what are you doing? The Native 5 is obviously the best lockback ever. And I tend to agree. It might be the best lockback ever. Now, I'm not even a lockback guy. I've only owned like 4 lockbacks in my whole life. 2 of them are just, you know, shitty joke knives, like the Dalek. I mean, the Dalek is amazing. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. But like, I've only owned a couple of good lockback knives, so I don't really have a track record here. So you guys are gonna, you know, probably hate on me a little bit, but I wanted to do this video. I thought it would be fun. Yes, Colin's my business partner. No, that doesn't mean I'm gonna, you know, let him win, because I don't roll like that. And I think Colin would have fun with this one as well. Funny story, Colin gave me this knife. He gave me this for my birthday, I believe it was, which was very kind of him. This has a regrind. It's absolutely stunning. It's done by DCC. I never remember what that stands for. Something Creek. Cutlery, maybe. I forget. It's got the MXG clip. Like, it's pimped out. It's a special knife to me, because of the fact that he gave it to me, and just, yeah. And then this is his design. So Colin's got his fingerprints all up in this video. And yes, I've learned how to use this knife. So let's get into it, guys. You guys know the usual categories. We have the Battle of the Backlocks. Yep, real original, Kev. Our categories are materials, price, perceived value, aesthetics, ergos, cutting, carry, sounds, action / fidget factor, fit and finish, and leftability. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 categories, so it's not even. I don't know why these lines aren't even. 11 categories, so it's not even, so that way we can't really have a tie unless, you know, something weird happens. I try not to have ties on categories if absolutely possible. If you are right-handed, you can remove this category and figure out the total yourself. However, they are basically going to be nullified here because they're both reversible clips. They both have a backlock, which is ambidextrous. So right off the bat, I mean, they're both going to get a point for leftability. It's a tie. I hate that, but like, there's really nothing I can differentiate. They're both absolutely ambidextrous knives. I mean, the only thing you could argue is the pivot. You could argue the B is over on this side, indicating that this is a show side. Now, I didn't try to flip it over, so it's possible you could flip that B over, flip the B over. This knife, however, is, I guess, you know, has the pivot on both sides. But you could argue it has markings on this side and this side. They put the steel on the right side, on the show side, because they think that's a better place to put it, you know, where Bestech put it over here. So maybe Bestech is speaking of the lefty. See what I mean? Like, you can come up with this dumb rule. So leftability is a tie for me. All right. Those are the categories. Whoever has the most points at the end wins and is the best knife on the planet, obviously. And then you guys should all go buy one. I'm just kidding. It's just for fun. It's my opinion. If you disagree, I would love to hear why down below. I would love to hear you make this video yourself. open tag if you want to go at it. If you have both these knives and you want to rebuttal me, please go for it. Or if you want to do it down in the comments, go for it. I'm open for, civil discussion. Just don't be an asshole. That's all I ask. All right. That's my job. Materials. So this one is interesting. Here we go. Every time I do a battle, interesting. This one over here is a Spyderco, and it is in S90V steel and fluted carbon fiber, which is very nice. And I would argue for a Spyderco, you can't really do better than this, other than maybe some of their titanium frame locks with whatever steel. But like even those aren't, I don't know. I love this fluted carbon fiber, and the S90V is fantastic. But you're still rocking like steel, everything else, right? I doubt the hardware is titanium. So there's that. This is titanium bolsters and frame and everything. And then you have an M390 blade steel, which, yes, I would 100% agree that S90V is better than M390. As long as everything's heat treated properly, we can have this conversation. But the titanium and the marbled carbon fiber, I think, beats the fluted carbon fiber and S90V. And then all, the rest of it being sort of like steel construction, if that makes sense. So I'm going to give it to the Tonic on this one. But, it's my, battle. So, Tonic. Sorry, I don't know why I stuttered. Price. I actually don't know. Okay, no, I know. This one's more expensive, is my guess. This is $309 in this configuration from Bestech. And this one, I believe they had it like, maybe this was like really expensive, wasn't it, at one point? But I think I was seeing them for like $229 or something like that at one point. So I think this one's now less than this one. Plus, this is made in the U.S., but even that, it has nothing to do with that. It's just price. I'm pretty sure this one's cheaper. I've seen this one in the 2s, and this one is $309. So I'm going to give it to the native on this one. Wow, that was weird. I did that. I was moving my pen and everything, but I was looking through the camera. It's hard. Sorry, I know that's weird. Perceived value. So I think I got to give that one to the native 5 because this fluted S90V version is kind of coveted, I would say. It's not like to the point where, they're going for crazy on the secondary, because I think they're in stock some places and whatever. But the Tonic is new, and the Tonic, while received with a lot of praise and everything, it didn't like immediately sell out and then like people are selling them on the secondary for 3 times the price or something. That didn't happen. And I think that's because 2 reasons. One, it's a backlock, and backlocks just aren't as hip as they used to be. And 2, Bestech's pricing. I've kind of harped on it a lot since this came out, but the price is just a little too high. This is not an OEM knife. It's not like Bestech made this for us or, made it for Colin and then he sold it. Bestech is the branded, the branding on this. So they made it for themselves. And they charged $309 for this carbon fiber version. I just think $250 was like the max they should have went on this one. And I think they would have sold a lot more of it. So I think perceived value-wise, the native 5 in fluted carbon fiber and S90V holds value, I would assume. And I think if you bought one of these and tried to sell it, you would end up taking a little bit of a loss. So that's my thinking, and that's why I'm going to give it to the native 5. Aesthetics. So this is a good one as well. I've always liked the look of the native 5. I really like the spear point design. This one has a regrind, so I don't know if they all have this sort of thing going on. It almost looks like a little harpoon right here. and the grind lines and everything. But you have a very simple Spyderco design here. And then with the Tonic, you have these beautiful bolsters with the milling lines. Colin's really good at adding those little details. The marbled carbon fiber, carbon. You got the blue pivot collar. One thing you got to give them, you know, take points away for is this. This should have been a filler tab with one screw made out of carbon fiber. Would have been fantastic. The clip is milled and matches, and look at that milling lines up. You got that beautiful pivot with the B on it. You got these beautiful grind lines again, but these are stock grind lines. Yeah, and then you have the sheep's footy sort of spear point blade. They're both good looking knives. The only thing that makes me lean Spyderco is the hole. I just like a hole better than I like the look of studs. But I got to go overall with the Tonic. I just think it's a little bit cleaner. I love the swedging on that blade shape. I like that blade shape. And then just the details on the milling is what gets me on that. Where this, while it's fluted carbon fiber and it's kind of like touted, it's not really that like special. You know what I mean? Like this is marbled carbon fiber. It looks way better than that fluted. But for Spyderco, this is amazing. You know what I mean? So I'm giving this one to the Tonic. Ergos. So this is another one. This is one I actually did think about before the video, because I was like, oh, I wonder how Ergos would go, because I think everybody and their mom would be like, no brainer, Spyderco wins. Right? Because Spyderco, they're the kings of Ergos. They put Ergos over everything almost, I feel like, other than clip placement. So this is very comfortable. It has this sort of 50-50 choil, something that Colin and I have kind of adopted in our own designs, right? Because of how comfortable it is and how it helps with blade to handle and function and everything. But I will say the downside to this one is, I don't know if it's just thin or what, but like if I bear down on this, it kind of gets me a little bit. I don't know if it's because there's jimping all up in here or what's going on. This one doesn't have a 50-50 choil, but it has this sort of built-in choil into the, you know, front of the blade here, end of the blade. And this one, it's not any thinner, I don't think. No, I think I don't think so. Or thicker, I mean. But this one just kind of melts into your hand. Colin has a way of just making Ergos work. And I can bear down and I don't feel anything. It doesn't hurt. That hurts. Now, in a normal, just like I'm holding it, I'm going to cut some stuff grip. Yeah, this is fantastic. But there's just something about where my thumb lands on this one, and I can put pressure down and just not feel uncomfortable. Where with this, I think it's because the blade kind of comes out and then it slopes down right away. My thumb is kind of like getting pushed into this angle, and it's pressing my index finger further into that jimping. Where this, my thumb lands on this straight flat, and it doesn't cause any hot spots. So honestly, I gotta go Ergos Tonic. And I was surprised by that one. I was picking them up and I was like, yeah, you know, Spyderco's gonna win. And then I was like, wait, that's biting me. And this is ultra comfortable. So Tonic. Alright, sorry. Carry. Right? No, cutting, sorry. Alright, so this one's a little bit unfair because this has a regrind. So it's stupid thin behind the edge, and I haven't really used any other native 5. And this is just stupid thin and slicey. So I would assume that Spyderco does a really good job with their factory edges and their factory grinds on these. And then Bestech, I feel like they're kind of known for leaving things a little bit thick, not having the sharpest edges from factory. So this one's good. I actually have had 0 issues with this one. Now, I haven't like extensively used either of these knives, but I think I'm going to go ahead and give this one to the Spyderco just because of track record on both sides and the fact that this one has the regrind on it. Did I just Oh, I was about to say, did it just break into where now it's dropping? By the way, Colin taught me how to, where to put your finger so you don't get cut. If you put your finger right up under this little corner right here, it's a spot where when the blade comes down, it won't cut you. See? You catch the blade under the edge. So that's the spot right here. You just kind of ride up to that end of that choil right there, and you won't get cut. So there is a way to close this without getting cut. Where this, I just enjoy shaking it down because you never have to worry about anything because of the choil. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, cutting is going to the native 5. Carry, so again, I'm going to go ahead and give this to the native 5. Now, it's a little bit lighter, right? Because this doesn't have liners or anything, where this is got the titanium bolsters in the frame and everything. You have a hole instead of studs, which to me is just better because, you know, you could, I've never had it happen with this knife, but you could have studs catch on something or whatever where the hole won't. And lastly, you have a deep carry option for the clip. I don't know if you could get something aftermarket like you can for this, but like it's a pretty specific cutout, so I don't think you could. It carries very well. There's nothing wrong with the carry on this knife. It's just that the carry on the native 5 is just better because of the weight, and then the fact that you have aftermarket options. Now, I don't love that the clip screws stick out and the clip screw or the clip sticks out, but it carries extremely well with the MXG deep carry clip and everything. Now, if we were just talking stock clips, the Tonic would be better in my opinion. But again, the hole and not the studs and the weight, I'm just going to go ahead and give it to the native 5. Sounds. So on the Spyderco, nice click. Real authoritative lockup, right? Really dig the sounds on this one. Tonic. Definitely still really good. You get a nice snap, nice cracks and pops and everything. I will say I don't love the closing sound, so listen to it. It almost sounds a little bit like a rattle, doesn't it? I don't know. I just don't love that sound in particular. And this just, it's just so crisp on both ends. I mean, I could do that all day, every day. Just slow rolling it. I mean, it's amazing. So, native 5 on sounds. Running away with it. Action / fidget. So, this was a tough one, guys. Normally, I would say, well, this one you can flick, so it's game over, right? I mean, you can't flick the native 5. And yeah, I know a lot of you are going to say, yes, you can. And yes, I can. Oops. I can flick it, right? I can do it. And I've handled... Colin has a couple at his house that are really broken in. You can just bloop, and they'll spit out and lock up. This one you have to really give a good flick to. That spring is strong, but you can do it, right? But it's not really meant to do that. But the slow roll out is amazing. I mean, it really is. That hole lets you just grab the shit out of that blade and walk it out. I mean, it really feels amazing to walk out. And then, you know, you just let it drop to your finger like that, and you close it. And it's like, you know, it's a middle ground between, a slip joint with walk and talk. Right? And a locking knife that you flick out, you know. it's sort of a middle ground between those two. You can flick it if you want to, but you're slow rolling and then shaking and dropping. It's not the same. It's just sort of in between these two, right? Well, the Tonic, it kind of adds an element to this. It gives you more of a feel of a modern knife, right? Where you can flick it out like that. It has a detent, right? This has a detent, so it's not just a spring that you have to overcome, meaning you have to basically slow roll it out. That's how this works, right? You just kind of walk it out. Yes, again, you can flick them. I know, guys. Calm down in the comments. But it's not really meant to, I guess, right? Well, what Colin did here was he added a detent ball to the inside of the lock bar, the spring. And that rides on the tang there, on the blade, and it makes it really smooth. And honestly, the reason he did it was for the closing. He wanted it to just be like really smooth on closing and opening. So it wasn't like gritty, because lockbacks can feel kind of gritty, you know, while it's really tight and shit right here. Because it's just like washers and spring tension, right? And he was trying to relieve some of that tension on the spring and give it a smooth surface to run on. Well, what ended up happening was this happy accident where it kind of creates a detent. So it'll open to this point like a normal lockback, right? There's no detent or anything, but then it hits that detent ball. And now you have to overcome that. And if you put pressure on it, it'll flick right open, just like any other knife with a detent. You can reverse flick it easily, no problem. So he kind of created this new way of looking at lockbacks on accident, because it wasn't his intention. And it's called the inset backlock system, I believe. The IBBL, if I get that right. Inset ball backlock. IBBL. And it's super unique and it's super cool. Now, the question is, action-wise, does it beat having that crisp, slow roll, that drop to your finger close kind of action, right? That sort of slip joint on steroids kind of feel, right? And I don't know the answer to that. Personally, I do really enjoy this. It is a very addictive for me to flick it and close it. So I think it's really, really, really good, and I do enjoy it a hell of a lot. And I think he's on to something here, and it's something that we together at Devo want to explore more as we move forward. But I do have to say, I think the downside on this knife is that it doesn't have a great location to drop the blade. And that's really my only gripe with it in terms of the action. I do prefer this action over the Native 5 in terms of deployment. I much prefer having a detent feel and being able to easily, I should say, reverse flick. Easily, guys. I know, you can do it. And I know some of you can do it way easier than me. I know, okay? I get it. But everybody can just boop, pop this one out. You know what I mean? But the downside is that on this particular design, you don't have a choil like you do on this. Where when you press this, the blade comes down and you have all this room right here to put your finger and block the blade. On this knife, when it comes down, you can see the blade is basically taking the whole handle up. So if you put your finger here or here or wherever, it's going to cut you. And I got cut a few times when I first got it. Now, there is that spot I told you about where you can put your finger and it won't get you. And then the other kind of rub is that I hope it breaks in. It does start to drop more readily. But it does kind of get hung up, you know. And there you go. You see with a little bit of a shake on the close, it does seem to be coming down more now. So I think it will break in, because when I first started using this, it just barely got past the lock, and it would pop back a lot, and I'd have to do this. It's happened a couple times in the video, but for the most part, it gets well past that, and then I can just close it like this, which is fun. I actually enjoy just doing this. But anyway, I think long story short is this still, I think action-wise and fidget factor-wise, has it beat just slightly. Because the ability to just kind of whip it down and not have to worry about cutting yourself, right? So I'm going to shut up now and check that off for the native 5. Fit and finish. So I got to give that one to Bestech here. This one is dead centered. You have that beautiful milling, the chamfering all around. Colin's design obviously is spectacular with the milling pattern, the clip, all of it is so well done. The grind lines on here are exceptionally done. They just did a great job. The anodizing, I just really enjoy. Whoa, Jesus. I just really enjoy the way this one feels in hand, and apparently enough to try to break it. But yeah, I think the fit and finish on this is spectacular. I think this is fine, but you know, it's a Spyderco. They're just not known for that aspect. They're not known for fit and finish. You know, all the edges are pretty much 90-degree corners that you can scratch on. You know, I'm sure without the regrind, it wouldn't be the perfect, you know, blade grind and edge and all that kind of stuff. Centering is usually a nightmare. I mean, I spent an hour on this and I still can't get it perfectly centered. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Tonic on fit and finish. And then we have leftability, which was already taken care of. So it does look like the native 5 won this one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the Tonic, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the native 5. Right, because they tied this one, so that's why it has. I was like, it should be 6, but no, 7 to 5. So your winner chicken dinner is the native 5, the battle of the backlocks. And you know what? I think Colin would probably be happy with that outcome. The native 5, if I have him pegged right, is his favorite backlock. This might be his favorite knife model out there. I don't know that for a fact, but I believe it's close. He has a lot of the native 5s in different versions and builds and all kinds of stuff. And he absolutely loves it, and I'm sure he's taken inspiration from the native 5 and put it into his own designs, right? So I think he'd be pretty satisfied with having gone head-to-head with the native 5 and coming out pretty close. So yeah, that is the battle of the backlocks, and you have the Bestech Tonic from CM Knife Designs. Guys, I wouldn't sleep on this if you're into backlocks. I think this is a unique model. I think it's going to sort of slowly change things in the backlock scene. I think you're going to see people utilizing that system. I don't know if they can, or I guess I don't think he has a patent. I know he doesn't. But I think he looks at it like, you know, Brian Nadeau with his detent system. You know, he just would want people to, you know, pay homage if they use it. But we'll see if that's, you know, something that happens. I know we want to use it, but we do want to look into maximizing it, maybe moving the ball up or down and seeing how that changes things or whatever. But anyway, it's a really cool knife. I would check it out. I believe they're still available at retailers. Check out White Mountain Knives. You can use my code LeftyEDC over there to get 10% off, so that'll help you bring that price down. The micarta ones, I believe, are $289, so you know you could knock almost $30 off of that, and then it would be right around $250. And I think at $250, this is a great knife. In carbon fiber, sure, you know, $275, something like that. I just wouldn't pay $300 plus for this. And it's not because of the design or anything, or the build. It's really just because I know that it can't be it can't be costing that much, you know. I don't know. They do have 2 or 3 years of work into it. I mean, he submitted the design like 2 or 3 years ago. So maybe they're just trying to recoup R&D or something. Who knows, right? And prices are just going up these days. So, you know, pay what you will. I just think personally that's a lot of money. But clearly I spent money on it. So I love it. I think it's a great knife. And I think it's unique, right? Like in this day where everything is sort of similar in a way. We have a lot of knives that are similar. They're all, you know, liner locks, frame locks, button locks, whatever. You know, this is a backlock, which is sort of bringing back something that we don't see a lot. And then it has a sort of innovation to it. So it's just really cool. And I'm happy for Colin that he got this out there. And this was actually his first knife design that he submitted to an OEM or to a knife brand. It just took a long time to come to market. So I know he's really proud of this. So good job, dude. And you lost a good fight to one of your favorite knives, the Native 5. Okay, so that's it, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Would love to hear your thoughts. I absolutely love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.